Good morning. As you can see, I am ready to go out for the last morning of the rifle season for whitetail. And it's about an hour and a quarter before sunrise. And I just thought I would do a quick sort of review video of what I'm using for hunting whitetail this year. And so just to understand the category of hunter that I am, I own 5 guns. 4 are Rugers. I own a Ruger 1022, a Ruger carbine 9mm, and a Ruger American 308, and I have one other Ruger gun. And I also own an old SKS. So those are the 5 guns I own. I don't even own a shotgun right now. That's the category of hunter I am. I have one rifle or gun for each category. I don't own multiple high-powered guns. I don't have 4 guns to choose from when I go out whitetail hunting or bear hunting. I don't have 3 or 4 guns to choose from to go out gopher shooting or varmint hunting. I've got one for each category. Guns are expensive. I have other things I want to do. And so it's kind of what's necessary for each of the different things that I do. What's necessary for cheap target shooting. So I've got the 22, and it's also great for varmints. I do have the 9mm. Honestly, the 9mm carbine is a gun that is not super useful for me other than it's fun. It's a great target shooting gun. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. Might have been a mistake. But I like it. I love the gun. It doesn't serve as a high-powered rifle for deer hunting or bear hunting. It just doesn't have the punch. And it's an expensive target shooting rifle, but it's a lot of fun. If you reload your own ammo, it's not too bad. But it doesn't have the range you would want for varmint hunting. It's good to 50 yards. That's about it. It's going to say it like I see it. If you could use a firearm for home defense, it will probably be good for that because it breaks down and carries in a backpack. And I might actually do a review on that another day. But here in Canada, especially in Manitoba, I'm just going to say we can't do that. We can't use firearms for self-defense, home defense. So it's not a home defense rifle. That brings me to my 308, and I love this gun. So I'm going to flip the camera around and I'll show you. Again, I am not the kind of guy that spends thousands of dollars on guns and thousands of dollars on scopes. I buy what is very useful to me, very reliable. I've come to love Ruger. The SKS is one of the first rifles I bought. I got it from a friend, brother-in-law, many years ago, and it's just been around a long time. Other than that, all my guns are Rugers. This is a Ruger American chambered in 308 Winchester. It's got a lot of punch. It's got a 7.62 NATO round. I'm firing in the deer season here. I'm using a Nosler 165 grain round, AccuTip. So it's got a bonded tip, and I can show you those here. It's a very, very accurate round. It packs a lot of punch, and this plastic tip will expand as it travels through the animal. It causes a lot of damage, and both of the deer that I've taken this season died instantly. So, I mean, of course, it's all about shot placement as well. But I'm very, very happy with the ammo, very happy with the gun. It's a basic setup. It's a basic bolt action. It's a 4-shot clip. I did buy an extra clip so that in the event that I'm out for a day, I don't have to carry a box of ammo with me to reload. So far, I've never gone through more than 2 shots in a day. So the scope is a very mid-range, low mid-range scope. It's a Vortex, and there's nothing wrong with Vortex. In fact, I really like Vortex. Of all the scopes I own, they're all Vortex. It just happens to be the best price point for what you get. This is a Crossfire 2. Can we focus on this? Come on now. There we go. It is a Crossfire 2, 3 to 9. And so it's not super high powered, but again, I'm not shooting out to 500-600 yards. I'm probably, for the caliber of hunter that I am, I'm probably a max 300 to 400 yard hunter. And I missed 2 shots this year at 300 yards. So clearly I've got some work to do. However, I don't think I'm as dialed in on my scope as I thought I was. And around here, I'm not about to go and start popping off a pile of shots to zero my rifle and scare all my deer away with 1 day left in the season. So I'm going out again. I know that I'm hitting good at 100, 150 yards, and that's where I'm going to be setting up today. Back to the gun. What I like about this gun is it has a very smooth action. Very smooth. It does have a half cock position right there, so that if you're in a position where you need to safety your gun without actually... See, the problem is if you go all the way open, the bolt's going to fall out and it's going to eject your shell if your rifle's standing vertical and you jar it at all. So what I like about the half cock position is it's safer. And when you've got your safety on as well, which I do now, it's a double safety. Sometimes you don't... I'm trying to think of a good example. You don't necessarily need to fully unload your gun. You just want a second level of safety. So, for example, climbing over a big log or something, you don't want to have to unload your gun every time. So it's nice to be able to go half cock and then you're quickly ready again, and when you need to be. One of the things I would like to have on a scope, on this scope, would be I would like to have a waterproof adjustment knob that's larger, easier to handle when there's gloves on, and where you don't need to remove these waterproof caps. But again, price point. This scope is a $400 scope at Cabela's. I happened to get it on sale, 50% off, so I paid $200. Best bang for your buck. And I had an extended conversation with the older gentleman at Cabela's, very knowledgeable, many years of hunting, and he said, honestly, what kind of range are you hunting deer at? And I said, honestly, I'm probably going to be under 150 yards. He said, exactly. This scope is going to be deadly on up to 150, 200 yards plus, 100 to 150 yards, which is where most of us take our deer. He said, this is all you need, unless you're going out and doing some long range, blah, blah, blah. And that's not me. I'm not going out and trying to teach myself to hunt at 1,000 yards. That will probably never be me. So essentially, this is a very basic setup. It's a $700 gun with a $200 scope. By the time here in Canada you pay taxes and buy a few boxes of ammo and get a sling and get the scope mounted and all the rest of it, I think I'm into the setup for about $1,600. I know, how do you go from $700 to $1,600? Well, $700 plus the scope. I did spend a couple $100 on ammo because ammo's becoming hard to come by and there was very little on the shelf. So my options were expensive or really expensive. So I bought some ammo to keep me through the season. So that's basically the setup I use. Very basic. This isn't a video with something flashy and flamboyant to garner many millions of views. This is for those that are interested in a basic setup, friends and family that want to know what am I using. And a 308 it's got a lot of punch. That's a NATO round. This was the go-to caliber for shucks. It's got to be 60, 70 years, maybe more, to be honest. And basically the replacement for today is a 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a smaller caliber shell with more powder behind it. So it shoots a little faster, a little flatter. But on the ballistics charts, it's out to 400 yards. There's almost no difference. The 308 round will drop more longer range, and the Creedmoor will shoot a bit flatter. The Creedmoor also has less kick, but it's surprising to me when you're on the range, there's no adrenaline pumping, you're popping shots off at paper targets. You feel every shot. And I remember the first couple shots I took, I wasn't used to the gun, and I had it right into my shoulder joint, and I felt it right in my in the ball and socket. I really felt it. And I thought, ouch, this thing hurts. But then you get out in the field, and the adrenaline's going, and you're wearing a few layers of clothing because it's cold out, and you take your shot at a deer, you don't even feel the gun. You don't even feel it. Never even think about it. I mean, if you go and pop off like 20 rounds at the range, you're going to feel it. But 1 round, 2 rounds on a day of hunting, it's nothing. It's no big deal. So as far as recoil goes, I think the 6.5 Creedmoor might be better if you're doing a lot of range shooting and you're popping off a lot of rounds sort of close together in one day. But if you're like me, again, not a big gun nut, and what you do is you sight in your rifle, so that particular day you might pop off 10 or 20 rounds. If you do a good single shot zero, it might be a lot less than that. And then you're ready. I shoot range not so much, how do I say it? No, to sight in my rifle. You do that once and you might recalibrate it at some point. But I do it just to keep used to the gun and be ready for the season. And I don't need 20 rounds to do that. I need to get a feel for the gun, 5-10 rounds, and it's expensive. So my brother-in-law's got a really good reloading setup, so I get him to do that for me. And B, I don't go recreational shooting with a high power. I do that with my 9mm or my 22. So I do enough range shooting with the 308 just to stay comfortable with it. This gun's going to sit now probably till next August. Getting ready for the bear season. And until then, it's going to do very little. So another thing, I'm not one of these guys that knows every season has a goes out for. I mean, I guess I'm getting into hunting more, but I don't have a tag for every season for every animal. I would love to go for elk. I'd love to go for caribou, for moose, go to other parts of the province and the country for big game, etc. Even other parts of the world. Probably never going to happen. Primarily, I want to take food off my own land, and I have enough property here to do that. I've got a lot of whitetail in here. That's number one. So that's it. It's pretty basic. And so I'm going to go out today. And it's the last day of the season. And I'd like to fill my tag and then put it away. Looking forward to that. One last thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about shooting positions. My favorite shooting position of all time would be prone if I didn't get such a sore neck from holding my head up. Now, if I had an inclined position where my feet were lower, my upper body was higher, and I didn't have to keep my head up so much, I would do that all the time. But the problem with a prone shooting position, if you want to go out and lay in wait, you've got a good sight line, I get headaches. So my second favorite shooting position would be seated in a blind with a monopod or a bipod, a rifle rest of some kind. Even a tree branch is fine, it doesn't really matter. A good standing shot with a tree to lean on or something like that is fine as well. Today I'm going out and I will be in a spot where I have to be prone. And today I do have a bit of a headache. I wasn't prone yesterday, but I've been doing a lot of that this year because I've got a good spot where they're coming in, and that's just the only way I can do it. I don't have a stand or a blind there. So what I'm doing today is I'm using my my shooting rest, which I use for sighting in my gun, and I'm not going to use the gun in this position because if it's strapped down like this, obviously it's going to give me very little versatility and position change if I need it. So what I'm going to be doing is just using the front rest. And just give me 1 second there. That allows me to raise and lower for an elevation perspective, and it allows me to swivel. You can see that there is adjustment here so I can raise that rest. And I'm kind of winging it here. I've never done this before. What I'm hoping to do, I'm hoping that it will give me a basic elevation that works with my neck position and with my target, and then I can do the finer adjustments, swiveling left and right and up and down just from my shoulder. So it's the last day of the season. I'm gonna put up with a little bit of a headache and hope for the best, and we'll see how it goes.